Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to cut through some of the noise around long-term success.
hmm
We really want to build a working blueprint, something you can actually use for turning your biggest wishes, your dreams into, well, tiny daily actions.
Right. The kind of actions that don't feel overwhelming.
Exactly. We're moving
Yep.
past all the motivational posters and just getting straight down to the architecture of consistency.
I like that word architecture. It really is about building something brick by brick. We're talking about that essential transition from, an inspirational thought into a physical reality.
Yeah,
And our focus today is to be really clear. We want to offer comprehensive explanations of these concepts, and we're going to pace it so that you can really absorb this powerful information deeply.
absolutely. So to start, let's just acknowledge
Yeah.
that initial spark, that amazing feeling.
Yeah.
When we were young, our dreams had no limits.
Right.
They were dramatic and just full of this raw energy. I remember my single biggest desire. I wanted to be a famous football player. The big lights, huge stadium, everyone chanting my name. It was pure drama in my head.
And that energy is so important. My big dream was, well, just as theatrical. I wanted to be a famous singer on this huge, well-lit stage, just commanding an audience. It felt limitless.
But the reality of those dreams was usually a little smaller, wasn't it?
A little bit.
My stadium turned out to be a tiny school field, and the main noise was usually just a friend yelling that I missed the pass.
And on my vast stage, it was the space in front of my bedroom mirror, and my audience was two very patient and I think very bored plants.
No.
But here's the key insight, and this is why we're starting here. Even if those specific dreams didn't happen, that initial dramatic energy, it creates an incredible sense of possibility.
That's it.
That raw belief that something magnificent could happen is the pure fuel for our adult ambitions.
Exactly. And that connection between the big wish, that raw energy,
Yeah.
and the small plan, the system, that's our whole mission today.
Mhm.
This deep dive is going to clearly define what dreams and goals are. We'll use really precise language. We'll share concrete, real-world examples and discuss actionable, simple strategies for staying focused when life feels, well, messy and noisy.
And we're going to structure this discussion logically. We'll move from definition to application, giving you the detailed tools you need to construct your own successful daily architecture. Okay, so to start, let's just establish some foundational language.
Right. Get on the same page.
Exactly. When we talk about dreams, we are explicitly not talking about the things you see when you're sleeping. Flying elephants, talking dogs.
Not those dreams.
Not those dreams. We are talking about intentional, conscious future planning.
Deliberate envisioning of a better future for yourself.
Right.
So let's start with that first big concept, the dream or the what.
A dream is, well, at its core, it's a big wish. It's something you genuinely, deeply want to bring into your life. And crucially, a dream is the large, compelling picture of the life you would love to live.
It's the destination.
It's the destination, the overarching purpose, and it's the ultimate source of all your emotional energy for the project.
We've seen some beautiful examples of this. They really cover the whole spectrum of what people want. Maybe your dream is something really practical, like achieving deep confidence in a new language.
Yeah.
Speaking English easily in meetings or just with friends.
Right. Or it could be bigger, more geographical. Maybe it's working in another country, or even starting your own small business from the ground up. And it's so important to remember, the dream doesn't have to be massive and public. For many people, the deepest dream is internal. It's about achieving a simple, calm life.
Oh, yeah?
A life with less mental stress, less traffic, less daily noise. Or it could be defined by contribution, helping your parents, or giving your children a demonstrably better life than you had. The dream is the vision of profound, desired change.
So that vision is the what.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's so vast, so perfect in your imagination, it often becomes a source of paralysis, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It just feels too far away. If you only focus on the dream, the very top of this enormous mountain, your brain just gets overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the journey.
And that's exactly where the second concept has to step in.
This is the goal or the how.
The goal is the functional antidote to that paralysis. A goal is the small, concrete plan. The moment you define your big dream, you immediately have to ask yourself, okay, what is the single smallest unit of measurable progress I can commit to right now to move just 1 millimeter closer to that big wish?
So dreams and goals they're basically a team.
A non-negotiable team. They have to travel together.
Right. A dream is like the car you want to drive, the vision of freedom, and the goals are the tiny specific steps on the daily roadmap.
Exactly. Without the dream, the goal lacks purpose. It lacks that emotional resonance. But without the goal, the dream just remains a beautiful and I think frustrating imagination. Let's
Yeah.
use that language learning example to make it really concrete. So if the dream is, I want to speak English confidently in any situation, that's the massive, non-actionable vision.
It's huge. So the goal then is this specific, immediate action. And it has to be so small that it's almost impossible to fail.
Almost impossible to say no to.
Yeah, for example, every day, immediately after I finish my morning tea, I will speak English for 5 honest minutes.
See how specific that is.
Right. The action is small, it's measurable, and it has a clear time constraint. The confident English is the vast promise, but the 5 minutes, that's the small, immediate truth you can live by today.
And that is such a powerful shift in focus. We would encourage you, as you're listening, to just quietly identify one major dream you hold right now and one small, tiny goal, just one that moves you
Do
closer.
you feel pressured to outline the next 5 years?
No. Just the act of thinking, what is one simple goal? That's an honest, essential start. It means you're respecting your own vision by translating its massive energy into a manageable size.
Okay, so now that we have that blueprint clarified, dream is the big destination, goal is the small, specific action. Let's move beyond the theory.
Let's get practical. Yeah, we need to look at some concrete examples to see how these genuinely grand visions translate into tiny, sometimes almost mundane daily actions. This is where the power of consistency over intensity really shows itself.
Yes. And these case studies, they let us analyze that critical step. How do you identify the smallest possible unit of progress that still feels like a meaningful contribution to the dream?
Okay, let's start with the first case study. This one focuses on education and creativity. The vision of an English studio and course. The dream here is kind of twofold.
Right. The first part of the vision is highly atmospheric. It's about creating a bright, cozy English studio, part digital, sure, but also a real physical room.
I can picture it.
Yeah, the source describes specific elements, plants, a large table for notebooks, good coffee, and most importantly, an environment where students feel safe enough to genuinely practice English and make mistakes without that fear of judgment.
And the second part is the intellectual property. It's about creating an original English course, one specifically designed to help those quiet, shy learners break through their internal barriers and speak with confidence.
Which is a massive creative project.
Huge.
We're talking curriculum design, video production, marketing. I mean, that is easily a 5,000-hour dream.
Right. And if the dreamer just sits there and only thinks about the plants, the coffee, and the 5,000 hours of work, what happens?
Overwhelm, complete overwhelm. They will choose the comfortable sofa every single time. So the core question becomes, how do you reduce this mountain to a single grain of sand?
And the solution found was just the brilliance of a small commitment. Every weekday, I will work on the course idea for just 15 minutes. Let's really deep dive into the practical reality of what that time block means.
Okay, so that 15 minutes is what we could call the minimum viable effort, or MVE.
MVE.
It's not the target, it is the floor. It's designed specifically to minimize the psychological barrier known as activation energy.
Activation energy, so the mental friction required to start a task.
Exactly. If the goal was 1 hour on a tired day, the activation energy would be way too high. You'd quit before you started. But 15 minutes, that's almost impossible to refuse.
And crucially, the work inside those 15 minutes has to be pre-planned and atomic is the word, a tiny defined task.
Yes, you're not working on the course. That's too vague.
Right. You're not writing a whole lesson.
No. Monday is dedicated to drafting 3 key vocabulary terms for Lesson 1. Tuesday is for finding one perfect example dialogue for a shy student. Wednesday is focused on researching one feature of the online learning management system.
You're breaking it down into micro-commitments.
By using MVE and defining these micro-commitments, the person ensures that the 15 minutes are productive, not just passive thinking time. They actually move the project forward every single day.
And the source mentioned the emotional result of this, which I loved. This small, persistent action makes the dreamer feel like they're telling the vision, I'm coming slowly, but I'm coming.
Isn't that powerful? It changes the relationship with the goal from one of immense pressure to one of honest, steady commitment.
Okay, let's move to the second case study, which is just as profound. The garden and slower life. This is a dream that's really centered on a shift in lifestyle and location.
Yes. And the vision is one of simple elegance. A small, functional house, not a mansion, with a genuine garden, an outside table for tea, flowers.
And it included that beautiful image of recording the podcast outside a nature edition.
Exactly. But we have to understand that the core meaning here isn't the house as a structure, it's the life quality it represents.
Right. The core of this dream is how they live. It's a slower life with significantly more fresh air, less time in traffic and noise, and a reduction in that frantic pace of modern urban living.
So the goals have to reflect that deeper intention. And this leads to two critical, actionable goals. They're designed to address both the logistics, the financial side, and the mindset, the present practice.
Let's start with the first one, the financial architecture. It's not just about saving money, it's about certainty.
Right. Each month, they commit to putting a fixed, mandatory amount of money into a dedicated future home account. And the powerful reframing here is treating this transfer like a mandatory bill. They call it rent for your future.
That framing is genius.
It is, because it eliminates the emotional negotiation that so often comes with saving.
Should I save this month? I had that big expense.
All of that is gone.
Right.
When you treat it like a tax or a rent payment that's due on payday, you are automating loyalty to your future self. The money is transferred before you even see it for discretionary spending. This isn't hopeful saving, it's mandatory investing in the dream.
Okay, so that's the financial part. The second goal is the present practice goal. The idea being, if the dream is quiet and slow, you have to train your nervous system to accept quiet and slow today.
You can't just wait for it to happen.
Right. So the goal is to spend at least one afternoon a week in a park or some dedicated green space, specifically to give the brain that quiet feeling right now.
And this strategy is so valuable for you, the listener. It's the concept of practicing small pieces of the dream now. You're not just waiting for the future life to arrive, you are actively integrating elements of that desired state into your present routine.
So if your dream is confidence,
Practice one confident minute. If your dream is health, practice one healthy bite. If your dream is stillness, practice one quiet afternoon.
this transforms the dream from a distant, hypothetical destination into a direction you are already genuinely walking in. So we ask you, what's your big dream? And what tiny action can you take today? 5 minutes, 1 page, 1 coin, 1 message that truly feels like a small, honest piece of that life. Okay, so we have this beautiful blueprint, big dream, tiny goal, but now we have to confront the reality of life, the resistance.
The messy part.
The messy part. We have the comfort of the Wi-Fi, the endless notifications, the snacks that are always available, and that profoundly comfortable, very persuasive sofa.
The comfortable sofa is the physical manifestation of friction. It's the enemy of all action. It whispers, change is hard. Safety is right here.
Just watch one more video.
Exactly. So staying focused requires a strategy because the world is noisy and it's literally designed to maximize distraction. And that makes maintaining consistency, the core of success, incredibly difficult.
So our strategies here are designed to build resilience and create low-friction habits. Let's start with strategy 1. Choose one main dream for this season. Priority.
This is so important. The primary reason people stall is cognitive overload. They try to chase too many things at once.
Oh, I've been there. This year I'm going to learn a language, start a business, lose weight, redecorate the house, and learn the guitar.
Right, all within the same 6 weeks. And the natural consequence of chasing 10 dreams is that your brain registers the complexity, it panics, and it immediately chooses the path of least resistance. Checking social media. The brain says, I cannot allocate resources effectively. Let's just scroll instead.
Okay, so what's the solution?
The solution is setting a temporal boundary, using the concept of a season. You define your season as a manageable chunk of time, say 3 to 6 months. And for this defined period, you choose only one dream as your absolute priority.
Let's define priority in this context. It means this dream gets your primary time slot and your highest energy level.
Exactly. For this season, the driver of the car is English, or maybe physical health, or perhaps financial security.
And it's important to understand this doesn't mean the other dreams are abandoned.
No, they're not killed off. They're simply sitting in the back seat for a while, relaxing. They're still present, but they're receiving maintenance energy, not primary focus energy.
This gives your brain the clarity it needs to allocate resources effectively. It prevents that debilitating feeling of being scattered and ineffective.
So you have to ask yourself, for the next 3 months, what is the single most important directional dream? Just one.
Okay, strategy 2. This focuses on making that priority action operational through system design. Choose a small daily action, the anchor.
We need an anchor. If you visualize the anchor on a boat, it's that heavy weight that keeps the vessel stable against the chaos of the tide and the wind. Your small daily action is your anchor. It keeps your dream stable in your routine so it doesn't drift away.
So for the language dream, the anchor might be listening to this deep dive for 15 minutes right after lunch.
Perfect. For the financial dream, the anchor could be inputting all your spending data from yesterday for 5 minutes right before you go to bed. The action has to be small, but it must be absolutely consistent.
And consistency is that quiet engine of progress.
It is. It means you repeat the action again and again, even when you don't feel like it. When you repeat one small thing every day, you establish momentum and you reduce the activation energy required for the next day. The action stops being an optional chore and it starts becoming a low-friction habit.
So to really lock in that consistency, we have to apply the principles of the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. You must choose a clear, reliable cue for your anchor.
This is critical. If you say, I'll do my 10 minutes of reading sometime today, that's a recipe for failure.
Sometime usually means never.
Usually means never. The best cues are tied to existing non-negotiable actions you already do. For example, after the coffee machine turns off, that's the cue, I will open my notebook for 10 minutes, that's the routine, and then I'll immediately feel that small satisfaction of success, that's the reward.
By linking the new routine to an old, established cue, you increase the likelihood of success exponentially.
You need that one tiny, reliable action that says to your dream, hey, I didn't forget you.
All right, now let's tackle the most insidious of the dream thieves. Strategy 3. Protect your attention. We're talking about the massive attention drains, constant notifications, the endless scroll, and the myth of multitasking.
Multitasking. As most people practice it, switching rapidly between studying English, checking emails, watching cat videos, it's not about efficiency at all. It's about paying a massive context switching penalty. Every time you switch tasks, your brain pays a tax to re-engage with the original activity. You often lose 10 to 20 minutes of deep focus. That 15-minute block of work gets reduced to maybe 5 minutes of really low-quality output.
So what's the solution?
You create a protected block, a block of time dedicated entirely to your anchor. This doesn't need to be 3 hours. It can be just 10 or 15 minutes where you eliminate all sources of friction and distraction.
Phone on silent.
Phone on silent, do not disturb engaged, all unnecessary tabs on your computer closed. Politely inform anyone around you, I just need a tiny quiet moment for my focus.
It's a moment of temporary, intense focus.
Yes. And furthermore, you can use your environment to signal seriousness. If you usually scroll on the sofa, do not try to study there. Change your place, sit in a different dedicated chair, or go to a different room.
A clean table, headphones, a specific notebook.
These are all physical cues that tell your mind, okay, we are serious now, and this is the zone of effectiveness.
So you're creating a physical boundary that reinforces your mental commitment. You're making the desired action the path of least resistance, minimizing that activation energy needed to just get started.
Okay, so even with the best systems in place, we have to address the internal battle.
The hard part.
The really hard part. There will always be heavy days when your brain only wants snacks and drama, or when that voice of self-doubt is just screaming that you're too slow, or you're too old, or you're not good enough. When your external focus fails, your mindset, your underlying attitude, becomes your single most important tool for just maintenance.
Right. When you're stressed, tired, or discouraged, you need some powerful internal scaffolding. Mindset strategy 1 is foundational, reconnecting with your why.
Your why is the intensely personal reason for enduring the daily, often boring, consistent action. It's the emotional fuel that powers the machine.
It has to be personal.
It has to be. Your why for learning English could be the confidence to lead meetings at work. It could be the freedom to travel without relying on others, or the pride of creating a better foundation for your children. It must be personal and emotionally potent.
So what's the practical application here? How do you use it?
You have to externalize it. Write down one clear why sentence and place it somewhere highly visible. Your phone background, a sticky note on your desk, the first page of your journal.
So on a hard day, you see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Seeing it on a hard day doesn't magically solve all your problems, but it provides a small push, just enough energy to execute that one small, essential action.
We suggest using a 3-part structure for this for absolute clarity.
Yes. My dream is, my small daily action is, my core why is dum-dum-dum. This defines the scope, the action, and the motivation all at once.
Okay, mindset strategy 2. This one addresses the reality of just being a human. Be flexible, not perfect.
Yeah. We have to acknowledge that life guarantees chaos. It just does. You will miss a day. You might miss a week because you're sick or there's an emergency. This does not mean the dream is over.
But it feels like it sometimes.
It feels like it, but the dream is patient. If you measure your journey by a perfect streak, the moment you miss one day, the entire system collapses, and it leads to these overwhelming feelings of failure.
So what's the alternative?
Flexibility. Flexibility means you can bend under pressure, you can miss a day or two, and then critically, you come back.
We need to prioritize the comeback over the perfect streak.
Absolutely. You can say to yourself, honestly, the last 3 days were chaos, but today, right now, I will give my dream 10 honest, focused minutes. The dream doesn't need a perfect adherent, it needs a consistent one. A person who keeps returning to the work, even if the step is smaller than planned.
Okay, next we have to address an external pain point. Mindset strategy 3. Protecting from other people's doubts.
Oof, this one is painful. When you share your internal vision and a friend or a family member replies, "That's impossible," or "Be realistic," or they just kind of laugh.
Yeah, that external doubt feels so heavy because it feels like it implies a fundamental flaw in your potential.
It does. But the source material provides a critical truth here. Their negative words are generally about their own fear, their own insecurity, or their own risk assessment. It's not about your actual ability.
So it's about them, not me.
It's almost always about them. They prefer safety and comfort. They see you attempting to change, which introduces uncertainty, and they want to keep you safe in their sphere of comfortable, predictable behavior.
So when they discourage you,
They are reflecting their own fear of change, or maybe their own failed attempts. Their skepticism is a reflection of their own history.
so the immediate response is to treat your dream as precious and private.
Exactly. Share it only with people who demonstrate genuine belief and understanding, a trusted friend, a teacher, a community. You only need a few true believers, and absolutely one of them must be you.
And if someone is genuinely discouraging,
You can just politely think to yourself, you don't see the direction yet, but I see it, and I am the guardian of this vision.
okay, mindset strategy 4. This focuses on low energy persistence, loyalty in tiny increments.
This is for those days when your energy is critically low and your brain is tempted to quit entirely. On those days, do not allow yourself to make big, definitive decisions about stopping. The only focus should be the next 5 minutes.
So instead of aiming for the full 30-minute goal, you force yourself to achieve 5 honest minutes.
Just 5 honest minutes. This tiny act is how you demonstrate loyalty to your dream. Loyalty means staying committed to the promise and the direction even when the path is difficult or boring or you're just tired.
It's an incredibly powerful emotional signal to your own subconscious.
It says, I still care, I am still here. And you can define this loyalty daily by asking yourself a very simple question every morning. Today, am I for my dream or against my dream?
And being for your dream means supporting it with your positive thoughts, your small daily action, and your commitment to the comeback.
And being against it means criticizing it, ignoring it, or indefinitely postponing the work. If you choose to be for your dream, even in the smallest way, on most days, you will inevitably move forward.
Okay, finally, mindset strategy 5. This is a profound reframing technique. Dream as direction, not deadline.
A dream should not feel like a punishment or a crushing weight that causes you stress. It should function as a compass.
A compass doesn't scream at you, you must arrive at the North Pole by Friday or you fail.
No, a compass just quietly and patiently shows you the way, this way, step by step.
Right.
If the dream is perceived as a tight deadline, you introduce anxiety and stress, and that leads to burnout. The dream's true function is to give you hope, to provide direction, and to serve as a constant reminder that your current difficult situation is temporary. It is not your final story.
Which means rest, therefore, is not failure.
Rest is a necessary and natural part of a long journey toward a distant direction. If your dream is a direction, you can just quietly and gently ask yourself, what is one small, manageable step I can take this week that maintains loyalty to my path?
So we've discussed the dream as the vision, the goal is the small action, and the mindset as the framework for resilience. Let's try to synthesize these elements now. Let's explicitly connect the key strategic concepts we explored to make sure you can immediately apply this architecture.
Right, because the ability to actually execute this plan, it really hinges on reducing friction.
Hmm.
If you've defined your priority, let's say it's health for this season, the very next step is to design a system where your small action is almost inevitable. And this is where that psychological insight of activation energy becomes so key.
Activation energy. That's simply the difficulty level required to start a task.
That's all it is.
So if your goal is to read one page of a physical book after work, and that book is buried in a box in the attic, the activation energy is incredibly high
It's huge. You will choose the sofa.
every time.
The strategy then is to minimize this energy by setting up your environment to favor the desired action.
You preload the action.
You preload it. You leave the book open on your favorite chair with the small lamp already on. You make the healthy choice the path of least resistance, not the most heroic one.
And this feeds directly into the need for consistency. Consistency is built not through massive willpower, but through reliable small systems.
Yes. And the key to that consistency is the small action, that daily anchor that you perform at a specific cued time.
We have to emphasize the concept of loyalty again here, I think.
We do. Loyalty is the commitment to the process, regardless of your emotional state in the moment. If you're extremely tired, loyalty means doing those 5 honest minutes instead of the planned 30.
And that small act of loyalty, it maintains the habit loop. It ensures the whole system doesn't just completely break down.
That's the key. We're training our minds to see problems not as permanent roadblocks, but as temporary issues that just require a change in perspective, a shift in mindset. The focus has to be on maximizing the number of comebacks you achieve after a lapse, rather than maximizing the number of perfect days you achieve.
The whole system is built to remind you that your journey has a profound direction.
And that direction is the source of hope. By defining your terms clearly, priority, consistency, loyalty, direction, you replace these vague aspirations with a concrete, actionable, and resilient plan.
This framework is a working machine. You define the big why, you choose the small how, you reduce the friction of starting, and you use honesty and flexibility to manage the inevitable days of chaos. #outro.
So we have completed our deep dive into creating a lasting, sustainable architecture for your dreams. We've covered defining your single priority, setting that daily anchor, protecting your attention from distractions, keeping your personal why visible, and managing your journey with flexibility instead of perfectionism.
And we want to leave you with a final and I think essential assurance. You are not alone in this effort. We, as hosts and everyone who pursues long-term goals, we experience days where the goals feel impossibly far away.
We do.
We also get pulled by that comfortable sofa and lose momentum.
We face that critical internal voice that tells us our ideas are too big or too slow. But the single most important action is what you do after that momentum is lost.
Every time you return to practicing your small goal, whether it's 5 minutes of focus work, reading one page, or logging your spending, you are coming back to your dream.
That comeback is the highest expression of loyalty. It's a sign of resilience, not a sign of failure.
That's so important.
So here is our final provocative thought for you to consider today. Think of one tiny step you can take today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today.
And this step should be small enough to be inevitable. It could be writing down your dream and your why on a piece of paper, or simply doing 5 honest minutes of practice right now after this deep dive ends. Whatever it is, make it a true, low-friction micro commitment.
Keep the dream as your enduring direction. Let it be your compassionate compass. Take small, honest steps forward. Focus on the consistent effort over the dramatic intensity. And remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep coming back.
Thank you for sharing this time with us, and with your own deep ambition, keep going.